Welcome to another episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name is Perry Phillips. I go by Perry Flips on Instagram with a Z, Pothead Picker on Twitter or X, Flips and Giggles on Facebook, and that's also the name of the eBay store. If you like the show, make sure you subscribe and tell all your friends because that's how the show gets better, bigger and bigger. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. My child is... Hold on, let me pause this. Sorry, 30 seconds in, I already have to pause the podcast because this kid is like fucking... She's been in like a really reckless phase. I almost said era, like Taylor Swift fucking nonsense. Like the last week, she's just been like doing shit she really shouldn't do, standing up on tables, sticking shit. We're not sure if she stuck a gem in her nose, a little plastic gem. It was like one of her sister's things that came with one of her toys she got for her birthday. And I don't know, my wife swears that she saw it in her nose. I had to like do the whole thing where I like blow into her mouth. So I had to like hold her nose and blow into her mouth, like open mouth kiss her basically without tongue, and blow into her mouth. And one time I thought I was gonna like explode her little body because my wife's friend was like a physician's assistant, is on the phone, and she's like, "Yeah, just you gotta blow hard." I'm like, and I blew, and it caused my kid to like burp and cough. So I don't know if that got up the gem. Like, we haven't found it in the poop. I forgot to just check her poop just now to see if it was in there. But yeah, so that was my wife took her to the doctor. The doctor checked and looked and didn't see anything up there. But like, yeah, that's been the type of stuff she's been doing, like just kind of walking into the middle of the road. If not like on like, oh, she's obviously just 2, so she's not like trying to harm herself purposefully, but she just doesn't know. And so you're like, hey, you can't do that. You go, okay. All right, dude. Like, but like, yeah, so she's been really like just testing the boundaries. So I've had to keep like a watchful eye on her. I already had to go up once. I went up once because she had her pants down because she had taken a shit. So I'm like, all right, at least she got the shit out of the way immediately. Because otherwise I would have had to run up and clean out like a whole mess in the middle of the podcast. And it would have been a huge, huge nightmare. But yeah, dude, I remember thinking like a few months back and being like, oh man, I'm glad we missed like the phase where kids stick stuff up places and like, you know, all that. Cause my kids hadn't done it up until then. So I was just like, oh, it's just not going to happen. And it wasn't like she even learned a lesson. Like later that day, she kept like sticking shit near her nose. We're like, dude, stop fucking stick shit in your nose. Like it was so easy with the first child. And then the second child, you're just like, oh my God, this kid is a absolute fucking Tasmanian devil. Yeah, it is. It's 4th of July weekend. But yesterday was just these kids just ran me into the ground yesterday. We got up in the morning, got them up, got them ready, and there was a yard sale that was starting at 9 o'clock. So I was like, oh, we'll go over to this yard sale, and then there's a parade. Ugh. I'm getting tired just thinking about it. There's a parade in the town next door, so like we went over to this yard sale. There was nothing happening, no yard sale happening. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, it was happening, but it wasn't like set up yet. So I was just like, I kind of looked at the stuff they had. I was like, all right, well, I'll be back. Like, I'll come back and take a look at what you got, whatever. So then I take off, go to the parade. The parade was like an hour. It was fun. We got set up we got there just in time before it got too busy. Because there was like a little spot that I know where to park that you can like get a decent parking spot and like walk over and get a good spot. And I don't know, the secret, I think more and more people have found out about it because we park there every year and it's always like just easy. Park there and you could just walk easy. So did the parade. The parade took, the whole parade itself was probably like 30 minutes maybe, if that. But the whole time we were there was like an hour and a half. It took like almost an hour for them to just, or not even like 40 minutes, 40, 45 minutes to get started. And then, like however long the actual parade was, probably like half hour or so, 45 minutes, maybe even less. But yeah, we did that. And that was like, it was one of those days where like the first thing that you do feels so far away later in the day. So that was the first thing. Then we went back over to that yard sale. It wasn't a ton of stuff. It was like, wasn't even anything I really wanted to make offers on. There was a guitar, that like a bass guitar, an Ibanez. So I grabbed that. But I grabbed that more for like a friend to see if my friend wants to take it. Needs to be fixed up a little bit. But it was a decent guitar. So then we drove back from that. I was like, all right, let's go. We were going to go to this antique fair that they do every year. But I think they charge you to get in. And like, I just couldn't see anything that I was going to actually, spend money for. So I was like, I'm just going to skip it. This guy sent me pictures of some comic books they had, but it wasn't like anything that was like worth running over there and dragging the kids out of the car for. So then we went back to the house and we're like, all right, let's fucking do a little ride. We got the golf cart. So we took a little golf cart ride, a little 4th of July golf cart cruise around the neighborhood. And then we got back with the golf cart back from that. And we decided to go out with my mom. So the kid's grandmom. Well, they call her Gigi. But so we were like, all right, let's go out to lunch. So we went out to lunch with them. We went to this place that had like, big Connect Four and like, cornhole. So they were just playing all over that shit. And then the lady, right when we walked up, so you walked up and it was like two different sides, and one side was food and one side was ice cream, which is like, a lot of those places do that. But this was like completely opposite sides of the building. So we walked up to the first side and they're like, the chick's like, oh, are you guys trying to get food? Like, yeah, that's on the other side. And then she asked my kid, she's like, oh, you're going to save some room for ice cream? I'm like, fuck. Well, now she like assumes that she's getting ice cream because this adult just told her she's getting fucking ice cream. So then we had to, so we went and got some lunch. And then we, had to go get ice cream. It was Tillamook ice cream, which if you haven't had Tillamook ice cream is really good. And it also doesn't have like high fructose corn syrup in it. I'm sure there's other fucking bullshit in it, but that's the one thing my wife like always looks out for is that. And it doesn't have that in it, but it's very good. So yeah, we went there, and then after that, we got back to the house and played. The kids wanted to play outside for a little bit, and my wife was like, "Oh, do you want to go to this fair? Because it might not be as busy today because it's 4th of July and everybody's probably like off doing shit." So we were like, "All right, yeah, cool." So we went to the 4th of July parade. It wasn't really not the parade, the fair. 4th of July fair. It wasn't really a 4th of July fair, but it was like the one that coincides with 4th of July. So we got there around like 5:30. And this was after like running around. I gave the kids like a little break while we were hanging out at the house to watch a little TV because otherwise they were like not going to have any time to just chill for a minute. So then so then we go to where was I? So we go to the fair. Kids do some rides, we play some games, walk around. There's also a playground at this fair. So then we go to the playground and the kids are like playing and fucking doing all that shit. And, you got to help them out with certain stuff. So I'm running around for that. So then after the playground, we get in the car and we go back to a restaurant. Which restaurant did we go to? Fuck, the one we like don't go to. Oh, Chili's. We were like, what's going to be open? It's July 4th. Like, what place is going to be open? There was the 99, which is like, if you're not familiar with it, it's like a local New England chain. So it's like kind of a big corporation, but it's like also really like not. So that was like, it was either that or that. But I'm pretty sure the 99 was closed because I'll talk about it in a minute, but we had like a little storm randomly. So we're assuming their power is out because we try to call them to see if they were open. Um, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I've got a text message from my mom. I was making sure it wasn't something I needed to check on right away. What was I fucking talking about? God damn it. What the fuck was I just? I don't even remember. It was either or. Oh, Chili's or the 99. So we ended up going to Chili's, which I used to work at Chili's. I worked at Chili's for like, I worked at Chili's, got fired from Chili's, got rehired because they were like wrongfully terminated me. Like they were going to get sued over it. So they were like, oh, well, let's just rehire him. They put me in a different Chili's because they were like, do you want to still work at the same Chili's? I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to work with the guy who just fired me. Like my old boss like lost his mind and fucking fired me for some dumb shit. So then I worked at a couple different Chili's, rotated there, and then I like moved out of state to a different Chili's. Worked at Chili's for like, probably almost a decade, maybe a little bit less. I don't remember, 5 or 6 years. It was a long time. Off and on too. I think I worked there for like maybe closer to 10. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember between the different Chili's. And then I worked at like, all the different other, I worked at like Red Robin for like a couple weeks and then like random shit, Yard House and on and on and on. But yeah, so we went there and then we got home and like at that point, and the kids don't have any concept of like, hey, fuckers, we just did all this shit for you today. Like, let's just like, call it a day. Like, grown-ups might be tired. Like, there's no concept of that at all. It's just like, we want to keep the machine going. We want to keep the party going. Like, could we do this? No. Could we do this? No. And like, you don't want to blow up at them, but it gets to the point where they just keep asking and you're just like, dude, how many fucking times can I tell you no? No. It's the end of the day. We're done. Like, we just fucking did a ton of shit. Then we get them all done, ready for bedtime, and like get them into their rooms. And their room's on the 3rd floor, and it's got like the best view. And as soon as we get them up there, they're like, I can hear them screaming as I start to walk downstairs. And my wife was finishing up there, and it was because there was fireworks that were just like going off all over the place, like just regular people shooting off fireworks. And so the kids were like watching them through the window. So that was pretty cool. My wife took some cool pictures of them from the behind, like it's like in the dark room, and you can see the outside of see the fireworks going off. My kid from the background looks pretty good. So yeah, it's been like a weird 4th of July weekend. On what day was it? Not 4th of July, the 3rd of July. Was it the 3rd? Yeah, because yesterday was the 4th of July, and then so it was the day before. So it was the 3rd of July, and we were getting ready to get the kids to bed. We were like upstairs, finishing up, bathroom, all that stuff. And all of a sudden, my wife's like, is there a tornado outside? So I look outside, and just crazy winds, and like it's pissing rain outside. The power starts to flicker. Like we thought we were gonna lose power, and like if the power goes out, I have to run down to the 2nd floor, start the generator, hook up the generator to the sump pump, so that way like the basement doesn't immediately start flooding. So I've got like less than 5 minutes before it starts like overflowing and shit or whatever. Um, so I was worried I was gonna have to do that. So I went downstairs and started to prepare to like get flashlight that use the one or two flashlights to find the other flashlights. Just basically get us like good in case some shit happened. And then after it flickered a few times, that was it. The power just kind of went out, and or the power just stayed on. But I guess we talked to like a couple neighbors, and like their power was out that was nearby. So we got really lucky. We didn't really. There was like one tree across the street that kind of snapped, but like not really. It's almost like, I don't know, kind of like snapped from the base or something. So it's still kind of attached, but it's not really even like RER. But I'll end up dealing with it. So this just came out of nowhere. It was just like you know, a wild storm. The next day, a lot of the roads were blocked couldn't, like, my wife was trying to go to work. She had to take a bunch of detours. Couldn't figure out how the fuck to get to work yesterday. It was pretty crazy. And then the fuck was it? Sorry, I spaced out for a second. So yeah, so that happened. There was like that crazy storm that just like popped up out of nowhere. And like I don't know, I guess if you were watching the news, I guess you kind of knew about it, but I didn't see anything about it. I didn't see anything. Like my wife just luckily my wife was like, "Hey, let's start taking this stuff down." For whatever reason, I forget why, but she was like, "Hey, let's start taking this stuff down." And so we took it all down. Like umbrellas and like all that type of shit. So luckily nothing like blew away, but yeah, it was crazy. Like our neighbor has a metal flagpole. That thing was snapped in half. Like I don't know if it was just like two pieces and it just kind of like was snapped apart where they're connected or what. But it looked like it was pretty forceful. And then the other thing that happened this weekend, this was like right up the street from my house. Um, there was some like fireworks accident. I'm sure they happen all the time, constantly. But I guess this like 70-year-old dude like blew up in his face and killed him. Fucking crazy. Um, but yeah, I never fuck with fireworks. Like I'm too clumsy. I tried to do fireworks one time. I was like backing up. I lit them on fire and I backed up to get out of there. I didn't realize there was like a cement slab behind me. I just tripped and fell down on my ass on this slab and it just hurt so fucking bad. Yeah, but I could have like tripped and just like not made it far enough and gotten a firework shot at me both and fell like on my ass on this wood this concrete slab or whatever the fuck it was. Um but yeah, that was crazy. It was like all yeah, all in the span of like 2 days. And with the weather thing too, it was like all of the power was out driving around, like all of the power was out from the traffic lights. Um, a lot of the restaurants had to close. It was pretty wild. Um, like I said, there was only like the 1 yard. So there was a couple yard sales that were starting yesterday, but I just did not feel like driving over them yesterday. Today was better, but I still didn't feel like going like still weary about going too far for sales now because they've been such shit for like, the amount of time you have to drive to them. Uh, anyway, sorry, I'm just like it's been I'm long week. I'm exhausted. I was looking forward to just chilling, but then I was like, I haven't done the podcast this week. I was just gonna chill on the couch and like maybe catch up on some listings, but I was like, gotta do this fucking podcast. I had to get it done real quick. Um, Speaking of like starting a podcast, it's kind of annoying um, when people like start a podcast and then they don't shut the fuck up about it. I don't tell anybody about my podcast. I probably should. Um, but like I feel like it's just you turn more people off by being like, "Hey, look at this podcast." And then especially like asking for money for the podcast like right away, be like, "Hey, I'm spending money on like this podcast. Can you like help me subsidize some of this money?" I don't know if I used that in the correct uh, context. Sorry, I'm like getting sleepier by the day, by the second. Um, I don't even. I don't know how great it would be today. But no, yeah. So when people just like they start a podcast and then they just don't shut the fuck up about it. Like I get that it has to be advertised. But like when you have the same concept of a podcast as everybody else, and you're out there like begging people for money or to like watch your show, it's just kind of weird. Could never imagine asking people for money for my podcast. Like, hey guys, you want this thing that I do that I like fucking I don't get paid for? Do you want to help me not get paid for it? And then I'll owe you money or what? Um. So yeah. Anyway, that's just kind of popped up in my brain the other day. Yeah, I sold the Shogun, the Shogun Warrior. Ended up selling out the bigger one for 400. I still have the small one. I just haven't got around to listing it. My listing area is kind of a mess right now. It's kind of putting a damper on things as far as like getting certain things listed, but I will be clearing it off soon. I just got a bunch of shoes this morning. Man, this is a rough one. I'm not gonna lie. I tried to go to bed early last night, and somehow I still got to bed like late and woke up early. I don't know what the fuck happened. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to bed early tonight, and like we didn't end up watching a show until like 10 o'clock, and then so like my wife went to bed at like 10:30, 10:45, and it's normally she goes to bed like just before 10. It was a long fucking day, long day. But I mean, the end of the day. I keep like doing these little micro sleeps. I'm not gonna lie. I keep talking about something and then I just immediately start to fall asleep. I did not sleep well last night. But yeah, I sold the Shogun Warrior for like 400. I still have a couple other things that I need to get to, so I'll get to those. Yeah. But no, after that storm, it's been like the mosquitoes have been fucking crazy. I was just thinking about this, like the random storm, and then now these mosquitoes are like there's everywhere, and they're like crazy aggressive. Like they just immediately, as soon as something opens up, they fly in, which they did before. They're also quicker. Like I feel like these things are fast. They're like fast as flies. You know, you try to smack a fly sometimes, it just fucking takes off. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Um, so I don't know. I'm hoping that those things go away. We don't have to call somebody. We try not to spray for mosquitoes. We've done it in the past. Sometimes it just gets so bad. Like in the past, we've had to do it because you just couldn't even go outside. There'd be so many of them. But the last like couple years, we haven't had to call anybody for anything. So it's been kind of nice. But I'm hoping that doesn't change. That would suck. Oh. So yeah, we got the golf cart. Pretty sweet. The kids like playing on it. I had to like clear out some space for it, which was like, kind of a hassle, but it needed to be done anyway. Um, so yeah. I was just thinking about this story the other day. I don't know if I've told this on the podcast, but stuff like this like hasn't happened to me in a while. So there was an estate sale, and it was in a couple towns over. This was a few years back, and it was like a lady who always posts about. They used to do like an indoor flea market, and so she would always post like, "Come to this indoor flea market." Whatever, whatever. So I'd ignore most of her posts because that's what most were. And a lot of the stuff that was there was like craft nonsense. So then she posts that she's having an estate sale and that there's all these video games, Lego, blah, blah, blah. And so I like I go up to I had sent a message asking something. I forget like what I was asking, what the time was or something. But like nothing even like remotely about the game. And so when I got there, there's nobody else there. And I asked the lady like, hey, I talked to you on Facebook. I don't even remember what I had said. Whatever. She goes, all right, hurry, come on in. Blah, blah, blah. Like, hurries me into the place, has me come in. She's like, all right, like you were interested in the video game. She's like, I'm asking this much for this stack, this much for this. So within like, I was in there for like 5 seconds, and I loaded up. I spent like I think $400. It was back when I used to be able to throw around a ton of money, and it was like worth it because you'd get a ton of stuff, and then like now it's just harder to do that, so I spend less money, still get similar results. But anyway, so she like has me come in. All these people are outside now, a line is forming, and they're like, what the fuck, who's this guy? So she just was like letting me go through and pick whatever I wanted. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know who either she like thought we had a different conversation and she was talking to somebody else or what. But I ended up leaving with like gaming statues, like the Lego set I sold for like I think 400, like a Star Wars one. I think it was the Jawa, like little Jawa sand crawler that they come in. I think that was pretty much what it was. And then it was like a bunch of video games, like good video games, handheld consoles, like a bunch of shit, bunch of different shit, like statues. And so yeah, as she's opening the doors to let everybody in, all these people are just like looking at me like, how the fuck did he just get in here? I have no idea how it happened. I knocked. I said, yeah, hi. I talked to you on Facebook. I was just like letting her know I was interested in the video game before other people came there. You know what I mean? To try to get, whatever. And she just was like, come on in, start making a pile. I was like, holy shit. And she's like, all right, I got to let these other people in. They're getting upset now. And I was like, well, I don't even know what the fuck's happening here, but like, let's do this deal. So I just paid her and grabbed that shit and left. I think I even went back and got more shit later that weekend. But yeah, that would just popped up in my head the other day as like crazy random shit that had happened. um so it's not going to be a long podcast. It's probably about a half-hour episode. So I've got one more story to finish on. Just because I'm exhausted today and it's fucking 4th of July weekend and these kids want to go outside and do a bunch of shit. And I just got a bunch of I actually went out today and so yesterday kind of sucked. I went to that one sale. And then today I went out and like there wasn't a ton of sales. It's 4th of July weekend. There's never really a ton of sales. Usually resellers who are just like trying to get rid of some shit. So there was like, a couple sales starting at 8 a.m. and then a couple starting at 9. So I had a loop kind of sales that like looped back to my house. So I just started going around in the circle and like I got to this one sale that had not been, I think they posted it last night on Facebook, like just as an event. They didn't post it anywhere else. So I got there like 10 minutes before the sale opened and it said they had like shoes and different stuff, whatever. So I get there and I just see like a ton of shoes, like sneakers. And it's like an older lady who's got like, she got like designer sunglasses on or like designer, like regular reading glasses. And like, it's a nicer neighborhood. And so she's got all these sneakers like Nike and there was like Nike times Supreme and like, I don't know if that's how you say it, Nike and Supreme, whatever. Balenciagas, like Adidas, like all types of shit, like higher end Adidas. And so I'm like, oh, how much are your shoes? Like different prices. And she kind of had no idea how to price them. And, and I was just like, I don't really know how to price them either. Cause like every time I buy shoes, I think that they're worth more than they are. And like, but I knew the Balenciagas were worth some money. So I just was kind of like, bullshitting with her. And I was like, well, can I just make a pile and we'll like figure it out at the end? We get to the end and I think I had, I don't know, like 10 or 11 pairs. And the lady was like, I'll do like, what was it? Like I do like $80 or something like that. I was like, all right, cool. So I bought them, got like the Balenciagas, the Nike and Supreme, all that stuff. So then I'm leaving and I was like, there's one more sale. And I was like, something just told me, I was like, that sale's probably going to suck. Let me just like turn around and go back to that other sale, go get more cash and be like, figure out if they can make another deal. So I get there and there's still like maybe a couple people that have showed up now. Nobody's looking at the shoes. So I grabbed a bunch more shoes, made a pile. And then like, we agreed on like, I think 75 for the second stuff. So 80 and 75. So about 155. And yeah, 155 for all that stuff. So that should be really good. I think they're all authentic. Just because it was like the lady was selling like her son's shoe collection. And like you can kind of tell whenever like, rich kids like that, they always have like the actual shit that's like, I'll probably get like one or two authenticated, like the more expensive ones and just make sure. And if those ones are authentic, then it's kind of a safe bet. A lot of them look authentic. There's no like issues with it, a lot of them. A lot of them like didn't really need a ton of cleaning. There was a few I left behind because they needed some cleaning. I probably could have gotten like another 2 or 3 pairs and comfortably and made a few more dollars, but at the end of the day, I got a really great deal. So anyway, let me finish with this because I do have to fucking wrap it up early today. Against my better judgment, I knew I shouldn't have posted this, but like occasionally I'll post on like the free groups, like looking for random shit, just to throw it out there, just to see what like people are getting ready to donate. I always say like I know this stuff may be worth money. I know like they're hard to come by, but if you're getting ready to donate and you're already getting ready to donate, I'd be happy to pick it up. I'm clearly not being deceptive. I'm like, hey, I know this stuff is hard to come by. I know it's worth money. You're getting ready to donate. I'll take it off you know? And so like one guy like basically like roasted me for getting on there looking for free games or whatever because there's so much money. And then he was like basically jumped on and was like, oh, I'll pay money for these games. So basically he like broke 2 of the group rules in one fucking stupid ass post trying to be funny. And hopefully got kicked out. I don't know. I don't think he got kicked out. But and then, people were like basically like, "Oh, I hate when resellers do this, blah blah blah." And by the way, I was also looking for like stuff for my collection. Like every once in a while I'm like, "Hey, let me see if I can get anything to add to my collection." And like I just am like, "Hey, blanket statement, what are you getting rid of? If you're getting rid of this, whatever." And so all these people are just like, and it's all people that you can tell sell. Like every time you go to their profile and it's somebody who sells fucking video games. So one guy like shared the fact that I was a reseller. I'm like, I never said I was selling this stuff. Like I would be saying I was gonna sell this stuff, and like they get all fucking butthurt. So then eventually my post got removed, but it was just like, what the fuck? Like morally, you can't ask for stuff just because you're a reseller. It's like they think that resellers are like these fucking. Not every reseller is like a wealthy aristocrat. I mean, like not every reseller is just doing it for fun. They do it because they have to. You know what I mean? If you're like me, you're just like trying to start a business and shit. It's, you shouldn't be like getting your post removed. You should be getting the other people kicked out for like assuming that that's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And like fucking basically besmirching my name in a free group. But anyway, yeah. So that's the podcast for this week. I'm sorry, it's not a long one. I'll get back next week. The past like 2 weeks we've just been going nonstop. This summer has been crazy. So I'll hope to get some more topics up for next week. Write them down, and then I'll have more stuff to talk about. I'm sure I missed some stuff this week. Oh, actually, real quick, I'll tell a quick story. There's this guy this week. There was a post. It was like on a free page, and it was for it was like a store that was closing, and so it was like, oh, everything is free, so everything needs to be out of there. So when I showed up, the guy, I was like, oh, I'm here because I saw the ad, everything's free. He's like, yep, the only 2 free things that aren't free are this and this. Everything else, we're just trying to get stuff out of here. If you want to make a donation, you can. Which I go back and forth on that one because I've done it in the past where I've had a thing where I'm like, leave a donation, but I actually took the time to put like a donation bin and was like, here's the donation. You don't have to feel obligated. That way you're not like asking people and they have to feel like, guilty when they say no. And so like I get there and this guy's like, this, if you want to give a donation, whatever. So I'm like, all right, that's kind of annoying that it says it's for donation. If everything's donation, and then this guy's like asking for money, it's kind of ridiculous. So I start just grabbing stuff because it's like there is some decent stuff. There's like some new old stock. There's like a ton of batteries. I grabbed a bunch of like camera batteries because I always need camera batteries. So I just grabbed a ton of those. I grabbed like a ton of just like little things like accessories for like phone cleaning things, like things I can sell at my yard sales for like $1 a piece. Just stuff that I grabbed could grab a bunch of them and take them. So then I'm like grabbing different stuff, and like I was nowhere near this one pile, but he was like, "Oh yeah, if this stuff isn't available, somebody already is taking that, whatever, whatever." So like, I hope you didn't already take something from that pile. And at this point, I had already like made two different runs to my car because he had told me everything was up for grabs. You know what I mean? So I was just like, "Oh yeah, no, I didn't touch anything." Like at this point, I don't know what's what. I'd like made two different trips to the car, and then I grabbed a couple more things, and he's like, telling me this is gonna cost this much, and I'm like, I thought this stuff was free. I was so confused. So I just at that point I just like bailed. But I had already like filled a bunch of my car up. I had a ton of stuff that I was able to get from there. But it was just fucking really bizarre that he was like, "Yeah, everything's free," and then he's like, "Oh, it's donation." It's like that time I went to the thing and the lady's like, I didn't realize my stuff was free." The drunk lady a couple weeks back. It's like the same situation. It's like people giving the shit away and then they don't remember that they're giving it away. So anyway, that's the podcast. I'll be back next week with hopefully a little bit more energy, a little bit more topics to talk about. Hopefully I'll find a few more things. Yeah, hopefully everybody had a good 4th, or if they're celebrating this weekend, stay safe. You don't want to end up like the guy blowing his fucking face off nearby where I live. So that's the podcast. Talk to you later. Bye.